Okay, let's begin painting. I've mixed up some titanium white with some cadmium yellow and yellow ochre of the Galeria Winsor & Newton paints. We'll shine a little bit more light on there. And I'm just going to add some little splotches of color that need a little bit of brightening up. Different shades of yellow. Like so. I find that when you're painting with acrylic paints, they go on nice and fresh, but they do tend to dry a little darker than I like. And sometimes after the first coat is on, I like to go back and just refresh them a little bit. And now I'm adding a little bit of highlights down by the horizon. In my view, the sky would get a little bit lighter. Perhaps the sun is setting among the trees and therefore the sun is lower in the sky. I'm going to just keep my yellows over here in this part. I'm not going to put them everywhere on the whole painting, but just down near the horizon where the trees are. Do I want a little bit here? Perhaps just a hint of the sun's glow setting for the night. Okay, and I will reflect some of that in the water below. Again, this is just impressionistic. I'm not trying to replicate a photograph. That would be too easy. Leave the photography to the photographers. And art, I think, is subjective, and we should just have fun with it. Let the light dance across the water. There we are. Now, because the foreground is darker, we're going to put a little bit of yellow, but not quite as bright. Put a few highlights here and there. Again, just to reflect the fact that the sun is there. Now I'm going to also work on my birch trees. Just a hint of yellow. And if I can imagine the sun coming from the middle, I'm going to highlight a little bit more on my birch trees, just to give the indication that the sun has found a spot on the rim of the trees. Just like that. Maybe this one here will get a little bit of sun. And this one here. There we are. Maybe up here a little bit. Oh yeah, that looks great. The glow of the sun. What a beautiful warm thing. Something we really appreciate when we don't have the sun out very often like we've had here in this very cold Canadian winter. Thankfully spring has arrived. The snow has melted. Even saw a few rabbits jumping around on the grass today. A little bit more white just to brighten it up. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, the next step will be a few more blues in this area. So we're just going to squeeze out a little bit of blue. I always have my trusty pliers. Once you get to have arthritis in your hands, these little caps can glue on pretty tight. So I always keep my pliers handy. And this was Windsor Blue. Just going to mix a little bit of that with my brush. There's no need to clean the brush if you're going to a darker color from a lighter color. However, it's probably a good advice to clean it if you're going the other way around, right? Okay, so we're just going to give a few more shots of greenish blue in here. And then we'll go a little bit darker. Let's see, up here. Feeling some of these spots. Have a nice little blend of blues. I'm trying to leave a little bit of space where the branches are. Where I've indicated the branches so that we don't have to paint everything over again. And I'm liking how that's working out. Where else do we need a little more blue? Perhaps over here. And maybe up here we'll have a little touch. It's a beautiful day. The sun is beginning to set, so we have these gorgeous colors coming down. And perhaps a few more down here. Of course, I've been painting landscapes for many years. I do love birch trees. Pine trees are always fun. The style is a little different though. Instead of painting more realism, I'm trying to get a little bit looser in style and more impressionistic. From close up, these always look kind of funny to me, but from far away they really look great. They make a nice little gift, a print. And if anybody has any questions, I do have art lessons that I do either in person here in Innisfil, or you can enroll online and we can paint through Skype. We can do things online. You don't even have to travel. Or if you just want a few helpful hints, a pal, somebody to sort of bounce ideas off of, that's great. Okay, pretty happy with this. We've got our sun-setting sky. I'm going to clean my brush now. Just wipe that off. It's great that these paints are water soluble, so you can clean them with water. Don't thin them with water. If you need to thin the paints, you can use a medium for that. Okay, so looking at what we need now, I probably want to put a few more white highlights in the water. And I'm going to hold my hand for support and just graze the top. You just want a very fine line. A couple of waves here and there. Okay. We need to go back in here, a few spots. Just to add to the sharpness. When painting on canvas board, the little checker spaces do show through. Now that's something that some people like a lot, some people don't. I don't mind it because it adds to the artistic effect of the painting. Okay, now let's clean that brush again. add a few more blue highlights in the water. I want to sort of blend these a little bit. Don't make the waves too choppy. Very relaxing painting. I find it very relaxing. Okay, so there we've just cut down on some of the bigger pieces of yellow. Make it a little bit more subtle. There we are. We don't really need too much on the side. We want to keep it dark so it keeps the interest of the eye towards the middle of the painting. And I may perhaps put a few tree tops in the distance. So I'm going to add some of the green. This is called phthalo green. Wipe off my brush. Okay, so we're just going to put some treetops in here. Now, if I take the phthalo green on its own, it doesn't look really real. So I need to mix a little bit of the yellow ochre with it to make it more of a sap green, which is more of a nature color. Okay, so I'm just going to tap in with my brush, holding my brush vertically so that the bristles are up and down, and therefore I can create a little bit of a point on top. Pine trees like to grow straight and tall, and visually this will look more like a pine tree in the distance if it has a little bit of a top. Now I'm just going to add a touch of blue in there to make it a little bit darker so that it's, there we go, stands out from the yellow. And this is all you need, just the up and down motion, the vertical brush. Don't need a lot of details. Trying to keep this loose. How are we doing there? More down here. Might go a tad darker. As any Northern Ontario person knows, trees are extremely thick in the bush. Very hard to get around sometimes. And since we're just coming into the beginning of the fall here, we're going to just keep the colors in the foreground. There we are. I'm thinking I like that. What else do we need to add? I'm thinking perhaps we can add just a touch more red to give it a highlight. So I'm going to clean my brush because now I'm going to a different color. And I'm going to take out some of my cadmium red deep. Give that a little bit of a loosening. And you can squeeze out just a very little bit of painting. This is a smaller canvas. 8 by 10 inches is the measurement. And we're just going to add a touch of the red on these leaves. I haven't changed brushes. I'm using the same brush. Keeps things simple. Again, it forces me to just keep things a little bit looser than painting exact leaf shapes. Just coming in here with a few angles. There we are. You can use different strokes. Make your strokes count. You can use a wiping motion. You can use a tapping motion. So we can just sort of tap the brush on with whichever direction. I might put a little bit of yellow in there just to add some color. I hope you can pick this up good on the video. Let's see, a little bit of white. And don't worry about mixing right on the fly. Not everything has to be pre-mixed. It is a time saver, but with acrylics, they often dry out very quickly. And sometimes I have shorter painting sessions, so I don't need to squeeze out a whole big amount of paint. I think we need a little bit of red right there. Okay, we want to keep the eye moving, so let's see where else we can use it. Maybe one right here. I'm going to add a little touch of white just to give it some movement. Oops, too much white. Okay, well, no problem. We'll just take some off. Okay, where else do we want to see a leaf? Do we want it in front of this tree or behind the tree? I'm going to put one in front. Let's just say it's mid-flight and falling down like that. A little bit of yellow we'll add. All right. This is looking like a happy little painting. Love the colors, love the looseness. Okay. I'm wondering if I need to touch up some of the birch bark. I'm going to get a little bit of the black. Whoops. Get the pliers. The damage in the birch bark is one of the very recognizable features. So I'm going to just touch up a few places. Give it a little bit more depth. Don't know if it picks it up on the camera or not. There we go. These little scars are what make birch trees so interesting. There's never two alike. Okay, so now it's time. I will switch brushes to a finer liner brush. Okay, so this is the liner by Snap Princeton. And I'm just going to get a little bit of the black to enhance some of the branches. Steadying my hand, we'll just put it on here. There may be places where you've gone over with the paint, don't to worry. Just fill them in. Birch trees are kind of bent, they're not really straight, so we can have a few marks that bend. And it's actually okay to have a bit of a shaky wrist too, because if you make them too straight it doesn't look natural. There we are. Okay, and I think maybe one more up here, behind the leaf. This one too. And up here.